This podcast is powered by The Plug.
I'm your host, Chardonnay, aka Coco Madame, and I'm so excited to be here. What's up, everyone, and welcome to Hustle Bunny. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Hustle Bunny. It's your host, Chardonnay, aka Coco, and I'm here again today with the very beautiful Adaya. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
I'm doing as good as I can on a Monday morning.
I feel that.
Well, it's nice to see you again. Nice to have you back.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back. And we have a good topic today.
We have a great topic today, which is actually pretty surprising because a male guest sent this in for us today. And it's just kind of like a topic of discussion that I feel like is just going on worldwide, just not even with like sex work, but just with people in general, with all the things that are going on with like discrimination and just everything that's going on. But he actually wanted to talk about something that's more catered to the sex work. So I wish I knew what his name was. I totally forgot his username, but he said he wanted to talk about discrimination in strip clubs. And he said, talk about race, age, and like body types. So like body shaming women for the kind of work that they do.
Yeah, well, props to him for like wanting to get into this, because I feel like even though, like you said, like it's a discussion that's happening worldwide, just given like the movement and everything. But I feel like when it comes to sex work, it's still a conversation that people aren't wanting to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like a very hard like topic, just in general, like you said. So, I mean, just to kind of jump in.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you or your company are looking to jump into the podcast world, now is the time. The Plug Agency is here to connect you to the full power of podcasting. You just record and leave the rest to us. The people are listening and want to hear from you. theplug-agency.com. That's theplug-agency.com. Click the link in the episode description for an exclusive offer.
911?
What's your emergency?
Yeah, somebody's just broke into my house.
Okay, we'll get a unit over shortly.
Okay, please hurry.
Real quick, can you verify your race for us?
I'm black. No, I'm sorry, I'm white. I'm full white.
Okay, can you answer a few questions just to confirm?
Okay.
Okay, how do you feel about Black Lives Matter?
All lives matter.
Nice. Did OJ do it?
Yeah, he did it.
Okay, who's the best boxer in the United States?
Jake Paul.
King of R&B.
Justin Bieber.
Okay, last question. Say ask.
X. Oh, fuck. No, hey!
Both of us are Black women. Both of us are in this industry as Black women. So we've only seen it through our eyes, right? And I was lucky enough to where I started down south. So I started in North Carolina at like a gentleman's club. And it was a very well mixed club, which I like how they did things because it was a mixed club. The owners kind of went back and forth of like how they want it ran. Right. So for like a lot of people who have never auditioned for like a strip club or anything, down south, personally, like what they do is they set the different clubs up by the types of music that they play. That's number one.
Right.
You know, so the biggest thing was like, okay, when we go audition at clubs, girls knew that, oh, this club only plays rock and country music. This club only plays like trap music. And this club plays like everything, depending on the girl that's on stage. So that was always like my first experience with how they separate and have the club set up. I don't know how it was for you when you were auditioning for different places, you know.
Yeah, well, I started my dancing career in Colorado. So it was a little bit different than the South, though. Like getting into it, initially I knew like, just from my research online that there was like, there was the booty clubs or the urban club,
right?
And there's the white clubs. So being in Colorado and not being a native, I kind of already knew that the clubs out here were going to be more white oriented. I kind of already knew that from the jump, just based off of how it is to live here. It's a very small Black demographic in Colorado.
Right. So like when you started, what club did you start at?
Yeah, so I started at Nitro, which was this club basically in the alleyway. You couldn't even really tell where it was. The entrance was in the alley in Boulder. It was basically like a club that was like in somebody's mom's basement. That was the vibe of it.
Not the trap fucking strip club. I don't mean trap in like the best way. I mean like you might end up, like you feel like you're gonna end up fucking dead somewhere.
Yeah, just like, it was in the part of town where it was very like centered towards college students. So that was the vibe, like just kind of like, frat boy out on a night, just a mess, broke. That was the vibe.
How did you feel like when you were auditioning out there? Because Boulder is a predominantly like white, quote unquote, liberal part of Colorado, or they say they are, whatever. But they got like the hippie movement and things going on there. How did you feel like being a Black dancer, dancing in a place like Boulder?
Yeah. So when I remember kind of like really clearly like what was going on when I was trying to audition. It was very hard to even schedule the audition initially. And I was like, in my head, I thought I wanted to work at Platinum. I don't know why, but that's in my head. I was like, I want to work at Platinum, but let me go see how it is at Nitro. And my audition went surprisingly well. Like, I did a stage set. There wasn't a lot of people when I was auditioning. There was maybe like a couple of guys. And the guys that were there actually like tipped me a lot of money on my stage set. So I think that kind of set me up to get the job.
Right.
But I remember like after being hired, like one of the girls that worked there, they're like, oh, finally they hired a Black girl.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That was like my intro into the club. I was the, check it off. Finally, we have a Black girl in the club.
Yeah. The token Black girl in the strip club. And that's like so rough, because, when we go to different places, it's a different vibe. That was kind of my same experience. So when I was still living in North Carolina, but I was traveling back to Colorado, maybe like once or twice a month just to come visit my family. And I was like, fuck it. I wanted to audition at one of the clubs out here. So I just decided to like go to Diamond Cabaret, which everyone in Colorado knows, like Diamond is one of those clubs that's really, really hard to get into. I didn't know it at the time. Until I got into the club and I realized like how hard it was for girls to get into the club. So with Diamond, it's in the heart of downtown Denver. And I came in for my audition. I was like, whatever. I was confident enough because I was like, I work down south. I make a lot of money. The guys like me down there. So like, this should be like a no-brainer, right? Came back up here and I was coming in for my audition and I'll never forget it. There were some Nuggets players that had came in and walked out with all of their money because there was no Black or brown girls working, let alone any like curvy girls or anything. So I walked in as they were walking out, and they like that right there was a guaranteed job for me. Granted, like if that experience didn't happen, like if they didn't lose money behind not having any diversity, I don't know if I would have got the job at that time, Right. But when I came inside and you see they hire a plethora of the same looking women, Everyone looks the same. It's either you're going to have a blonde and they're petite, or you're going to have a girl with brunette hair and they're petite. And if you hire anything that is Black or brown, they are more Eurocentric. They're going to be like, even like a lot of the Cuban girls, Spanish girls, I had no idea they were Spanish until they started talking, because they just look like a white girl, you know? And if it was like a Black girl, it was as light skinned as a Black woman you could get. So that was like my first experience with that. I was like, okay, well, this is kind of whatever. And then you always got the guys who were traveling. I met like a lot of traveling people from Miami, Texas, New York, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, where they come up there and they want diversity. They want to see everything. They want to see the slim fit. They want to see thick. They want to see, you know, Asian. They want to see Mexican. They want to see everything, right? Because, you know, you don't want to just go to the same thing. It's like some guys are like, well, I'm already married to like a blonde, but like this week I want something that's completely different, you know? So it was like one of those things that came to the Midwest where you're just like, oh man, like this is not good.
Yeah, and I think that kind of speaks to the strip culture out here a little bit too. Like, you know, Diamond, the club that you're specifically talking about, like it took me about probably 5 auditions to get hired. And the fifth time, or whenever that was, I only got hired because I had a relationship with one of the managers there. And he was like, yeah, come in. He was very like, make sure you look the best, you know, that you can ever look. Mm-hmm. He was like, suck in your tummy, yada, yada, and I'll get you in here. But all my previous auditions, like, it was a very like, kind of like stupid passive lie as to why they wouldn't hire me. Like, they told me that my tits were too small. And looking around, like you said, all the bitches are in there are petite. Like, they have no ass, they have no tits. If they do, they're fake, you know? So right off the jump, I knew it was like a race thing. Just seeing what was, you know, the other girls that were in the club. So yeah, the only reason why I got hired at that club was because of my connection with that manager.
Yeah, and that seems... Yeah, it kind of seems to be like the theme, right? Like it kind of seems to be like, okay, well, I got lucky with the manager that was working. And that's like another thing too that we have a big problem with is management of clubs. A lot of the managers have some sort of a power trip when it comes to this, you know, and it's all male ran. There's very few strip clubs that have female managers in there, right? Other than like your house mom or your bartenders or waitresses. Like there's not many women out here in charge. So a lot of the guys are very passive aggressive on a power trip. And I feel like they only hire what they're attracted to, not keeping in mind that there are men that like everything. There is not one thing that guys aren't going to be attracted to. And it might just be one guy might be attracted to it, but he might spend all of his money on it. So, you know, for you guys to only hire these petite, underage, kind of like adolescent looking girls, I noticed that's like the biggest thing in the Midwest out here is like they like hiring adolescent girls. And like I can't knock, and I'm not here to knock the dancers. Like, I'm not here to knock the women aspect of it, you know, because like they can't help it if they fucking are built like a 12-year-old boy. Like that's not their fault. That's just how they look. But the fact that they cater to like such a specific look, and it's almost like, man, like that's a little disturbing for me. And then because like, you know, you get guys that like, I want to come in and I want to see a woman. I don't, you know, there's guys who like older women too, you know. So I feel like it's rough too, because it starts with management. It starts with the guy that's hiring you. And if he doesn't find you to be attractive, then he's not going to hire you, which fucks up money for his club, you know, and the potential that he could be bringing into his club.
Exactly. Like on a business level, they should be thinking more about, okay, what type of women should we have in this club to attract a certain clientele? Like you said, there's guys who want to see diversity. There's guys who came into that club and left because they didn't see that. And then, on the flip side, like what you and I have talked about so many times, is that the type of regulars that come in there, right? Because they're used to seeing the white women, the small petite women. When you do have a Black girl working, they don't want anything to do with that because they're used to seeing a certain type of dancer there, that anything outside of that makes them uncomfortable.
Right. It's like a certain expectation. It's like, yeah, I get it, but you have regulars, but you're not bringing in new money. You could be bringing in new money. Like you can always be finding ways to attract new money, new customers, just like little things like that. And I think it's really disappointing. And I think it's disappointing too, like as a female, when you come into work and it's like you see all these girls making money and you're just in the corner, just there, or guys are like, oh, like, I wish I would have seen you. Like, you see me all night, but you're either too afraid.
Yeah, I've been making my rounds.
Yes. You've seen me multiple times. But like another thing is because if there's just one or two, Black women or brown women working, they're not going to like, okay, well, then that doesn't matter. But if like there's 10 or 15 or 20 of them working, and then there's another 15, 20 of everyone else working, then it makes it like blended. So it's not so like uncomfortable. You know what I mean? You just feel like you're just there and you have no purpose being there.
Yeah. Black women in the clubs in Denver, like, or just in Colorado in general, you stick out like a sore thumb, and usually not in a good way, unfortunately. Like, that was kind of like the hype. I was like, okay, it's a very, very white center, but maybe I'm going to kill it because I'm the only Black woman here. And that's not the case because, like, talking to these guys, like, they'll give you the rap. They'll give you the scoop, like, oh, you're so beautiful. Like, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. But their money does not ever align up with what they're telling you. And then you'll walk away because you're not going to continue wasting your time with the guy. And then just like clockwork, you'll see, another dancer who's white or whatever, nail the cell.
Right. And another thing that I've seen, and I think like a lot of us have seen, just specifically out here in the Midwest, was we'll be sitting at the club and a girl will be auditioning and they come in and you're like, damn, like she's fucking bad. I'll never forget. I was, I think it was you and me, and we were working over at Diamond and we saw this like Asian girl and she was like thick. She had the whole like, Kim K, fuck it. She got the work done. Like she's out here. I'm like, she's not from here. Like this girl is from Miami or something, but she had the whole look, right? She looked like she would have fucking killed it. She gets on stage and the managers wouldn't hire her for whatever reason, and I feel like everyone, and she even got tipped by some of the customers on stage when she was during her audition. And then, she packed up her bag and she left and she was never to be seen again. And it's like, dang, like you guys, like she was making money. She's clearly looking good. It's like, why is it a threat to what you already have? You know what I mean? Do you think like it's going to bring in such a specific clientele that you don't want? And that's also another thing too. You don't want specific clientele.
Yep. The stereotypes. They don't want the people they don't want clients that are not white, basically.
Right.
Like that's point blank. Like I'm going to be frank. Like I feel like when Black men do come in the club or Hispanic men come in the club or any type of guy that's not white passing, he's immediately treated differently when he walks into that club. And I feel like assumptions are immediately made about him. And I think that also plays into who they hire. They think women who look like that girl you were talking about, who look like us, they're going to attract those type of clients, which yes, we will.
Right.
But they don't want that. They don't want that type of clientele, just like how they don't want those type of dancers. Right.
And, I feel like all money spends the same. And in all honesty, like sometimes those guys that are, they come in after work. There's like a lot of construction workers that come in right after work. They're dressed and they're dirty, whatever. They had a long day, but they want to spend their money just like anybody else. They're going to get turned away because they look a certain way, right? Same thing, or like dress code, right? They say, oh, well, you got sneakers on, you got too much of one color on, you're not clean. Like, we can't let you in. And if they do let you in, they give you a hard time. The waitresses won't come to your table. They won't and then automatically, like, they don't feel comfortable, right? Then they're like, well, I don't even want to fucking be here because I already had a bad experience getting in here. and I feel like I'm unwanted. I come in here and the girls here aren't what I want. So like, you know, the whole experience is ruined. And it's like, well, I can't blame you. You know what I mean? Like, I can't blame you for not enjoying that from walking through the door in itself.
Yeah, like imagine how off-putting that is for like a guy that's literally coming in there to like take his mind off of whatever is going on in his life. That's what it is. The strip club is like an escape. And then the guy comes in, he doesn't see what he likes, or he's, you know, stereotyped the moment he gets in there, like he's not gonna come back.
Right. And you know, we've also seen, you know, going back to like auditions, they will hire a girl who clearly has problems, right? You're like, okay, well, this girl is just a whole ass mess and she's going to only bring problems into the club. But you guys will hire her on the spot because she meets the quota. Or you know, whatever, but then you're bringing troubles in, and then you're bringing troubles into other dances. Like, well, this girl is clearly a problem. She's a problem for the customers, whether she's fucked up, fighting, or whatever. And it's like, damn, like you guys would rather take like a girl who is fucking out here wild and strung out crazy compared to like a girl who looks good and knows it's going to bring you money. But, you know, it's hard. It is really hard. Going back to working down south, that is one thing about the South, though, is like they're pretty frank and they're pretty like I said, like if it's a white club, it's a white club. We know it. That's just how it is down south, and that's just how it is just with them in general. And we're trying to get them ahead in life. We really are, but you know, the South is like 25 to 100 years behind on the times. But what I respect about being down south is the guys know how it works. The guys who are running the clubs know how it works. They know that if they have all 32 flavors, you know, particularly at the club like I worked at, if they had all 32 flavors, they know all 32 flavors are going to make money because they got options. And they weren't getting just your local dude down the street. You know, they're getting businessmen flying in, they're getting high paying customers, and they want that. They want all that. And it's like, okay, well, if you don't like her, we got her. If you don't like her, we got this. And I feel like that's a better venture than, okay, well, you're giving me the same girls every time I come in here. I don't want that. But with that being said, how has your experience been like with different hairstyles? Because that's always like another big thing too. I struggle with finding out what the guys like here.
Yeah, that's rough because like, you know, like I switch up my hair all the time. And I feel like a lot of Black women do this, from the weave to the braids, to the twists, to the curly fro. Mm-hmm. And we look good with all of it. And I love all of it. I love switching it up. But I do notice that guys respond differently when I'm not wearing the straight hair. I feel like, you know, I can't really speak to other clubs, but here in Colorado, I noticed that I blend in a little better with the straight hair. There's like a certain, I mean, we all know it's like assimilation, like, you know, Black women are generally treated a little better if we conform to some types of Eurocentric standards. And like with the twist and stuff, I feel like guys either really love it or they hate it. Right. And it's also one of those things too, like I noticed that like I'll have like my locks or my braids, and a lot of times like it becomes like the I don't know what word for it, but like some guys who really love it, that's all they want to talk about is my hair.
Oh yeah.
That's what will sell them. That's what will get the dance, is my hair.
Yeah. And you're like, why is this like such a thing? Like, why don't you ask her? That girl has more fucking tracks in her head than I do. Okay. And I've seen girls like the white girls being there with their clip-in ponytails, but you're not asking her about why her hair touches her. You know what I mean? Like different things like that. And same, my experience has been very much the same. Like, you know, recently, like someone, because I've been wearing my like short hair, this guy, like, it sold him, but he did the thing to where he like rubbed his hair through the back of his hands through the back of my fucking hair. Like, what are you searching for? What are you looking for? There is nothing. What is it? What do you want? Like, why are you touching? Like, no.
Like,
It just makes people uncomfortable.
What is wrong with them?
Yeah. Don't touch it. Don't snatch it. Don't do whatever. Like, I don't care if it's real, sewn in my head, or glued down in the front. Don't touch it. Don't touch the shit. Like, that's just why? Like, why do you feel like you need to do that? And guys, like, that was another selling point too. I'm glad you said that, because now that I think about it, like, once they do get it and they just start, and you're like, can you please just stop? Like, that's just not, I didn't pay this kind of money for you to fucking rub your greasy hands through my hair.
It's like you feel like a pet or like some type of like, I don't know. It feels really odd. And I remember bringing this up to like a couple of like other white dancers in the club, just joking about it. Cause there's been plenty of times where I was wearing my twist and my braids and I'll be like, I cannot believe that fucker like actually thought he can try and pull my hair during a dance or something. And they're like, oh my God, are you serious? Guys do that? I'm like, yes, they do.
Yeah.
To us.
You want your shit pulled? I bet you all of your shit would come out. That little clip-in ponytail is going to come out real quick, sis. So, like, it is. Like, I feel like they try to... like, it's weird. The experience of, like, being, like, a Black dancer in a strip club. It's so weird because, like, the guys, they're almost, like... It's almost like they're, like, you're, like, a science project and they're trying to, like, figure you out from head to toe. Like, they're trying to dissect you as, like, a fucking... person. They're like, oh my God, like your skin is so soft, like, oh, like you're like, everything is just so like, oh my goodness, your face. And it's like, do you, like, why? Like, why do you have to do this for? Like, why are you making me feel like a test subject? Like, why are you making me feel like I'm under a scope? You know? Yeah. It's like,
you feel like an exotic animal being like analyzed, like, how are you going to move? Where are you going to stay? And then sometimes I feel like when you're sitting down with the guy, like, you can tell that he has like the typical stereotype in his head and he's fetishizing about a Black woman that probably, turns him on. And if you don't fall within that stereotype, he's confused. He doesn't know what to do with it. And then he's like put off.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had that
a lot too. Like, oh, I didn't expect you to be so classy, or like, what's the other weird shit they say? That, oh wow, you're so educated.
Yeah, that's like the number one thing that I get when I talk to the guys. Oh, you're so educated. You speak so well. Why are you here? And it's like another thing too. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, what does that mean? I'm sorry. Can you go deeper into that statement? You know what I mean? So you're just thinking like all Black people are just not educated, or just like strippers aren't educated, or like what do you associate? But like you said, people do associate like this stereotype in their head, and then once you break that stereotype, they don't know how to handle it. I will say that the clubs in Colorado are predominantly catered to white men.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like another one of those things where you're like, this fucking bump, as like liberal and not Colorado is, it's not. People got some fucked up views out here.
Yes, this is what I'm so tired of hearing. Like, people are always saying, "Oh, Colorado is so like open-minded and liberal and like forward-thinking." I'm like, no,
it's not. I mean, it's like it has like their things. Where you're like, okay, like that's cool. Yes, we got what's his name? We have like a gay governor, whatever the guy is. Yeah, Polis. He's gay or something like that. That's cool. But like, as far as like everything else, like when you get down to the nitty gritty, like Colorado really is not as like forward moving or forward thinking as we are. I feel like we're trying to be like a fake LA, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not Las Vegas. It's not, So just again, like the clubs cater to white guys, and it's crazy too, because like the fact that the girls that are there, they don't see it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they have to see it. Like, I know in their mind they know, but they're so caught up within their own realm of making their own money. And they're always like, oh, like, you're so gorgeous. Like, I bet you make all the money. And it's like, no, it's like, I don't. Of course, like, I never talk about my financial, like, my night with just girls at the club. That's just, like, not what I do. Like, with my friends, of course, I chat with you guys. But there's just, like, nights I'm like, damn, like, you really gonna come at me like that? Or even like sometimes like you get like the Black guys that come in there and they want white girls. And it's because there's only white girls working at the club. So can you really blame them for that at the same token? Because like you said, if you're not surrounded by it, it's not a thought.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I like that you mentioned the fact that like it plays also into like the kind of working environment with the other dancers. Like that was very, like, even before COVID, like I wasn't really making great money until I got to Diamond, just because I feel like that's where most people attract to or go to. Or I'm not really sure why I made more money there, but I did. And like even when I was making, greater money than the other clubs I worked at, there was still like a huge like disconnect for me. Like seeing, how many girls there were making, X, Y, and Z on, a night where everybody should be making a shit ton of money. There was always a gap there. And like you said, like I would never tell them, but you can tell, you can kind of keep mental track of who's actually, constantly on stage versus who's getting dances.
Right. Right. And like same, like I will say I made really, really good money working at Diamond before COVID. Towards the end, it started to go downhill. And even though we're post-COVID right now, things are still rough, especially like out in this area, I will say. But that's just everywhere in general, unless you're working in a place like Texas or Miami.
Yeah.
Where shit just, they do whatever.
Yeah, things are normal.
Yeah, things are normal out there. Girls who worked in Tampa this weekend, like what, they didn't care. They were getting that bag, and I'm glad you did. Have you ever traveled and danced?
Yeah, I traveled only once as a dancer, which I always wanted to travel more as a dancer, which is hard to do now with COVID. But yeah, I danced in Hawaii, actually, in Honolulu, on Oahu, which is the only island that has strip clubs in Hawaii. And it's crazy because of like the small little strip area in Honolulu that has, I think, like up to 7 clubs or something. So yeah, the strip club culture there was a big thing. And I think that had to do with obviously all the tourism and the military guys who lived there. And yeah, I worked at a club. I'm trying to think what it was called. I think it was like Club, I don't know, some weird number, like Club 99 or something like that. But it was lit. Like I walked in there, I never been to Miami, but this is kind of how I imagine the clubs in Miami were like. Like, you have these like big grand stages, poles going all the way up to the fucking ceiling, like it's packed. And there was just like an energy, and I made so much money, and it was so easy. See, and I feel like I feel like I would have made more money if I stayed there a little longer to kind of get more comfortable. But doing the least, because I was kind of, in an environment that I wasn't used to. It was like very much a party environment versus like kind of like a lounge environment that's kind of like here in Colorado. But yeah, I still made ridiculous amounts of money, like easy.
Yeah, no, that's how it is. Like when you travel to different places, and it's either hit or miss, but I feel like everything that's kind of bordering like the Midwest and like the center, LA, not really big on like strip clubs. They're more about the sugar daddies out there. Like, why the fuck would I go to a strip club when I can just, there's a lot of rich guys out there who will just pay to play.
Yeah.
Vegas, prostitution and escorting is legal, so why?
Yeah, so it's like intertwined in the strip club.
It's not. Yeah, it's all intertwined in the strip club, and it just no, like so why work at the strip club there when it's just basically like they're sex clubs. You go down south to Miami. I've only been as a customer. I went to King of Diamonds. I went to Tootsie's, and I walked in. This was years before I became like a dancer. My first time down in Miami, I went to Tootsie's. I was out there for a photo shoot, and Tootsie's is open until 6 a.m. Big party scene. Girls out there, when I was like, oh my gosh, like everywhere you look, there was something to look at. And like you said, 20-foot poles. You know, the girls aren't talking to you if you don't have a stack of money. The club is very like, you're not going to sit here and waste our time. You better get a drink and a dance combo or you were kicking you out.
Yes.
But you're not just going to sit here and stare at my girls. You're not going to just sit here and not spend money. Like, you know what this is. And a lot of that hasn't translated quite yet up here unless you get the guys that travel, you know, and they're like, why, you know, what's happening? Like, I don't understand this. They don't understand like how it works. Like, what are we doing? Like, why is there no money being thrown? And guys, it's like an ego thing, right? They want to be seen. They want to have their ego stroked. They want to be seen throwing money, spending money. They want to be seen around the best bitches. Like, they want it all.
Yeah.
Right. And that just here, like you said, it's a lounge. It's a lounge scene. It's like, okay, well, I'm tired of like sitting here. I don't want to be your fucking girlfriend. I don't want you to take me out to breakfast after this. You're not spending any money. You only got one dance. Like, I'm not doing all this for nothing. You know what I mean? And another thing too, I'm sorry, I'm like talking a lot, but the guys here are lazy and they don't want to challenge. So anything that looks too good, they don't want to deal with it. Right? If you come in and you got your makeup slayed, you got your hair slayed, you know, you're giving us like the Instagram model look, you got the best outfit on. And for some reason, like they don't want it. They're going to go for the girl who didn't do their makeup. She got a bun and she wearing the same outfit she wore all week. You know, like, you're like, okay, well, I put in all this work. And just for you to be like, it's my job for me to say yes. I'm not going to tell you no. I'll tell you no on the streets. I'll tell you no if I'm out and about with my friends, but I'm at work. Why would I tell you no? Like, what is so intimidating about coming up or like me coming up to you that's like, no. So that's like another thing too. Like, everyone's out here fucking stoned and on drugs. So they don't want anything. You know what I mean? They don't want the challenge. They don't want, you know.
Yeah, but I, you know, like going back to kind of like, you know, how clubs are kind of like in the South and like that club I was at in Hawaii, like there's something to say about like the culture in the club. Like you're kind of setting your club up for the tone, right? Like when I walked into that club, you know, in Honolulu, like you can tell from the jump, you got all the bitches there. They look good. Hair done, makeup done, outfit, nails, pedicure. And even the girls who are more kind of like next girl, because they have all the types of looks, right? They have the Instagram, they have the, you know, older mom, they have the, you know, petite, smaller girls, they have the athletic girls, they have the girls next door, but they all looked good. They looked polished, together. They knew how to work the stage in their own way. Like they were working the floor, you know, like it was at a certain standard, even for the guys who came in there. Like a guy wasn't allowed to sit there for 2 songs, not spending any money, not trying to get dances, not getting drinks, but the good drinks. Like you're just there getting a beer, trying to sit there for 2 songs, turning all the girls away. You're going to get kicked out.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. You should be in favor for the girls and the club and the money. Because there's been so many nights out here where people are like, I'm just having a drink. No, your clubs. Yeah, I get it. You got to make your alcohol sales. But if people are having fun, the liquor is going to keep pouring. If they serve food, people are going to get the food because they got fucked up. They need to sober up. They need to get home type of thing. Like you have everything, but there is just no way that you can come into a club like that, right? Or just any functioning club and say, well, that girl's not my type. There is no way that we got athletic, brown, tall, skinny in all these different places. Like I guess predominantly down south. We're talking down south, Hawaii, New York City, places like that, where you can't just sit there because there's just no way. There's not one way that not one girl in there does not look good to you. You just don't
exactly. So what are you sitting for? Yeah.
So why would you come in here then? Because if you don't have what we like, get the fuck out. Go on the street. Go where you can find what you like. Go on Pornhub. But you're not going to waste girls' times. And another thing down south too is like they didn't do body shaming. So So of course, like they didn't do like super heavy set women, right? But if the girls were on the thicker side, they were like very well put together on the thick side. Do you know what I mean? So they had like a couple of like pretty girls that were like, you know, they were bigger girls, but they put their shit together and they were looking real good.
Yeah.
Right. And guys were spending the money on them. Like, you know, I realized that like a lot of foreign men like bigger women, you know, like they want some meat on the bones, you know, and they had that shit. It looked good, you know. They had a plethora of every kind of brown skin you would want. You want high yellow all the way down to dark midnight black. Like they had that. That was just at the gentlemen's club that I worked at. Now you had your booty club. Like the booty club was a whole nother beast. And that one was called Diamond Girls. That one was just literally you walk up, you bend over, and if the guy likes you, he's gonna throw the money and you gotta keep it. You know what I mean? Like you didn't see faces. There was no eyelashes. If you had eyelashes, your shit was gonna be off by the end of the night. Lace front lifted. You're gonna be looking a mess. So when those lights come on, you better be downstairs real quick.
You're gonna be gone.
You might not be seen again. Because once those lights come on, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was fun because it was quick money. It was, you know, it was just a whole vibe. You got your drug dealers, you had your everyday guys coming in that want to blow their check or whatever. They want to have a good weekend. You had like your sporadic sugar daddies that were down at the booty club for whatever reason. I don't know why they were down there, but they were having a great time. You know, and that's what I do like about traveling to different places and like seeing the vibe, because like they know how to enjoy themselves and they enjoy women and they don't care. Like they enjoy all women. And I'm not trying to knock the women who work in Colorado, you know, by any means, because if you got what they want, then that's what they want. But you're losing out a lot. The clubs are losing out a lot because they're not diversifying and giving different body shapes, giving like different ages of women. Like there's women out there like cougar, like being a cougar is a fucking thing. And if you want to be a cougar and a sex worker and you look good, like why not do it? You know, same thing, like just everything. Like I feel like we definitely need to diversify the clubs or have a club started or just do something. But the crazy thing is all the clubs in Colorado are owned by one owner, except for like Shotgun Willie's.
Yeah. And I think like with the clubs in the South, like, you know, it sucks that it's kind of like segregated in a way. Like, you know, you have the booty clubs where it's predominantly Black, and you have the white clubs where they play like rock music and stuff. But like you said, they also have the clubs like that you worked at where there was all types of women, and we don't have any of that. We don't have the segregated clubs, the booty clubs. All we have is white clubs. I feel like it's better to have all the other types of clubs than just white clubs, because then, well, you know, like the Black women who are here that want to be a dancer, like you have to put up with all this bullshit. Like at least there would be other options where you can go to a club that's like all types of women, you know, so you fit in, or an all Black club and you fit in because, you know, everyone's Black, versus trying to fit in to this all white.
Yeah, kind of like cookie cutter experience. And it doesn't make girls feel comfortable. Like it's almost like you're dragging feet now at this point. You're like, oh, like I got to go here. I got to get lucky, like hope this guy likes me. Or, you know, it's like a night where that's all they want and they'll drain their pockets on you and it's a great night. You know, I'm not saying that it's all bad at the clubs out here as far as like my experiences, but the longer that I stay here and the longer that I work here, the worse that it gets. And you're just like, how? Yeah. How could it be like, how could it be so bluntly like what it is, you know? And I actually recently went back to PTs And the area that it's in town, it's predominantly Hispanic, Black, and like it's predominantly Black and Hispanic. And there's, they got white people and things like that. But, it's all Black and brown, construction workers. You got your drug dealers. You got like the people who don't want to be in the Denver clubs. They come down towards this end of town because it's like the fun club. Mm-hmm. It got bought out by new owners. It got bought out by the same owners as Diamond and La Boheme and all these places. And now the copious amount of guys that they're turning away because they don't fit that white male standard is ridiculous. So you're basically telling this community, this whole neighborhood, the people that live here can't come here. The people that kept this club open for so long and these girls are making their money off of, you're telling them that they can't come here in their own neighborhood, which I think is even more fucked up than anything. Because it's like, man, I was talking to these Cuban guys from Miami and they were like, they bought the bottle, they were here, they're trying to have a good time, they're tipping just because we're talking to them, type of a situation. And then the manager comes over and like says something to them and they got so upset. He was like, well, you need to stick up for what you stand for because this shit is crazy. You know what I mean? Like, but you guys are out of control. Like we're over here having a good time and like, we're not rowdy. We're just doing it. But you guys are treating us like our money doesn't spend well.
Yeah.
And it's crazy too. Cause like there'll be a line out the door because of COVID and all these different things and all the restrictions we got going on with COVID. And there's a waiting time. Imagine waiting outside for 25, 30 minutes to try and come in and they say no because you're wearing Air Jordans. To say no because just no. Like basically that's what they're telling people. It's like, no, you can't come in here. Your money doesn't spend well. And it's like, well, you're fucking up with my money too because you're turning away potential people. And it just blows my mind of how shitty it's getting.
That's why I kind of predicted that would happen because, with that club, it being bought out by the same people who own, Lavo and Diamond and stuff. And that's the culture they had. Like, if they didn't like the way you look or the way you dress because of whatever, if you're too urban, they're going to turn you away versus treating you like any other customer. And, taking their money and it being better for the dancers, being better for you, being better for everything. They rather risk the potential money than to let people in.
Right.
That's like wild to me. That is fucking crazy.
Yeah. And like, don't, I feel like if you like confront and if you like try to ask the managers, because I've had girls that they'll try and ask the managers, like, why did you turn like that person away? Why did you like do this for? And they get so defensive. Like they feel like you're like, oh, well, like, who are you? Like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it turns into like this whole argument. And then it's like, well, then you're going to be on a 30-day notice. Like, oh, whatever. Fine. Now you're on like their shit list for asking a simple question. Is like, why are you not letting money through the door?
Yeah. Just you saying that gave me PTSD because I can't even count how many times like something happened. I'm like, why did you not come and treat this customer the same way you treat everyone else? Why isn't the waitress coming? Like, you know what I mean? Like anytime I would try to ask any questions, you're instantly like on their bad side. Like, and I just like, even with the management, I just feel like I was always treated differently than all the other girls. Like from like actual safety concerns, like, like a guy coming in, harassing you, saying shit to you that you should not be fucking saying, would never fucking say in any type of normal environment. And like bringing that up to management, they don't want to fucking hear it. They don't care.
No. And at the same time, we are independent contractors. So you can't, you give us an establishment to work in, but I don't think that you guys should have that much say so. Cause like without us, what the fuck you gonna have?
Yeah. I mean, the whole like, we're independent contractor things, but we still have rights. Like we signed a contract saying, that like they're providing a place for us to work. And there was one thing too, I remember on the contract about dress code. And I want to talk about this because I don't know about you, but I always had issues with this one, especially at Labo and even Diamond, actually. Like, they can't tell you what to wear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're an independent contractor, but they do. They have a standard that you're supposed to conform to in these clubs. Like, it's the type of like gowns and like weird shit like that versus just being able just to wear your fucking bra and thumb. And then even when you are wearing what they want to wear, like, I'm not thick by any like definition of the word, but compared to a lot of the girls in these clubs, I am. I got more ass than them. Okay. So the skirts and the dresses that they be wanting you to wear don't fit the same on me. Okay. My ass is going to poke out. The dress is not going to stay down. Okay.
Right. Titty's going to pop out. There's going to be a nip slip.
Yeah. Can I work what I got, please? But no, you would have pulled me aside, tell me that I need to change my outfit. Sir, why? The bitch over there is wearing the same goddamn outfit I am, but I gotta change?
Yeah, no, it's a real thing. The outfits. And you know what? I worked at a place once and they said, like, you know how like in Atlanta, the girls do the fucking thigh high, like the knee high boots with the the shingles on, like the little tassels on them. I remember this club was like, no, you can't do that. Like, that's too ghetto.
Yep.
You can't do that. You can't be a stripper. They make these stripper heels, but you can't wear the stripper heels that the stripper companies make.
Yeah.
Okay. Or like the outfits, like you said, like, I get it. You want to do the little gentleman club thing. You want us to do. Number one, I'm not wearing a fucking gown. I've had that too. Like, why the fuck are we wearing number one, that throws the guys off when they walk in. It's not 1994. Like, I'm not wearing a ball gown to a strip club. And even in 94, right. They weren't wearing ball gowns. They were wearing fucking slingshots. So like, I'm not walking around in a fucking prom dress. Okay. Cause I walked into a strip club. I came in to see strippers. I came in to see ass and titties. Why would I cover that up for?
Yeah.
Like, who am I? Like, even if I'm not dancing for my grandpa or someone's well, you are. Most times you are. They don't want to see that. They don't want to see that. Like, they don't want to see that. Like, why? I don't come here. I don't pay to be covered up. And like you said, I'm curvy too. I don't care what the fuck I put on. My ass is hanging out. My ass is going to hang out. They're stripper clothes. It's made out of the tiniest fabric, the stretchiest fabric. Like, it's not made to cover up.
No.
Okay. And on top of like clothing, we're going to talk about how they let specific dancers get away with more stuff, right? So I've had this issue of being on stage and, you're dancing, you're feeling yourself, you rub your chest, you might rub your thighs or whatever, trying to be seductive and get guys to come over. Oh, you can't do that. You're being too seductive on stage. Like, you can't touch yourself on stage. You get some girl up there with her fucking pussy lips and shit out.
Touching it everywhere. She's having herself on stage, but you're not going to say anything to her.
You're not going to say anything to her, right? Same thing. Lap dances or champagne rooms or whatever. You are going to, for me, like, I don't care. I'd much rather security be on my fucking back than not when it comes to like doing intimate like dances and shit with these guys. But then there's girls back there doing full service and y'all don't care. You'll be like, oh, well, yeah, we caught this girl. She was back there sucking some dude off. Okay, but you're going to get mad about me touching my thighs on stage? Like, I thought that wasn't, oh, well, she makes money. So, she makes the club money. So whatever, we're going to let her do what she wants to do.
Yeah.
So how does that, like that you can't play favorites and then let girls out here just do whatever? Because it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't shame. There's no hierarchy with me. I don't care what you do. I don't give a fuck, like, what you do for sex work. But, like, don't bring that into the club. And then it's like, let specific girls get away with it. But you're going to come at me over just, like, small things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have bigger problems and issues to deal with. Yeah. So you can't, so it's very apparent. And it's very sad that it's very apparent out here of how things are. Like you said, even down to the way that you dress. It's like, there's only one woman out here selling fucking outfits in the back, and I bought the same outfit as she did. And just because it fits different on me, then whatever. I actually had a girl who did that to me this past week. I was wearing a skirt. She was wearing something that was like see-through. And the club standard is like, you can't wear like mesh. So you just can't like have like, you can't wear like, you know, and you can't wear mesh like bottoms or whatever on stage. I don't know. I don't really know. But she was like, oh, well, if you tell me that I can't wear that, then she can't wear that. Which I was just wearing like a skirt and like a fucking one piece, but my ass was hanging out. And I'm like, no. We're not in the same boat. I can pull this down. Okay, don't get mad. Like, don't translate this over to me. You know what I mean? Like, don't. But you know what? The fact that it's a strip club and we should be able to wear whatever the fuck we want is an issue in itself.
Yes. And that's one thing, like, I also feel like it's not talked about. Like, we're supposed to be given a certain amount of rights, right? Like, it's stated in the contract that we signed. Like, you know, that we have the right to show up whenever we want and work whatever times we want, dress however we want. But it's almost futile. Like, the contract it's nothing. It has no weight. It holds no value because they will force rules on you and punish you if you don't follow them, even though you have a contract that's supposed to protect you against that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's wild. And I think there's like so many different types of just things that happen in the strip clubs and strip club culture everywhere, especially when it comes to stuff like that. And then the favorites, the playing favorites is a big one too. Like, if a girl makes more money for whatever reason, whether she's doing extras in the back or because, you know, whatever, she's making the most money in the club, she's going to be treated differently versus the girls who don't make as much money as her.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah. And then they look at you and they're like, well, why aren't you making money? It's like, well, I'm not back there doing whatever it is that you think I'm going to do. Okay. Like, I feel like if you're working in a strip club, like we talked about this, if you're working in a place like Vegas, we know what's going down in the strip clubs in Vegas. Like, we're not crazy. Okay. But those girls are making their money. They're getting paid 5-10 racks compared to $300 to $500 for a champagne room, which I got to give. What is it? Like, it's like a 60-40 or something like that, where we only keep 60% and the club takes 40. I'm not doing all this work for you guys to take my money. If I wanted to do that kind of extra stuff, I would take that out of the club. Keep all my money, right? Set my own prices. Yeah. There's no reason for that. And like the favoritism behind it, it's like, oh, well, we keep her around because like we know, you know, she'll do this for like a customer. But it's hard to say because like I don't ever want to shit on somebody's hustle. Like, I never want to make somebody feel bad for what they do. But when it comes specifically to strip clubs, I feel like I've made money. I've made thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars dancing without having to do extra shit. Mm-hmm. So for me to have to come, you know, back and think like, oh my goodness, like, am I not doing it? Like, we already have our insecurities, right? We already have our insecurities of like, okay, I'm a Black girl working in here. You know, is my body shape going to be okay? Are the customers going to like me? Blah, blah, blah. All this stuff. Now I got to compete with the chick. I'm already in competition with like these girls. Like, she already fits the standard. The guys are already going to give her money. Now she's back here offering services that I can't do, that I don't want to do. So then it's like, well, damn, now my chances of like making money are getting slimmer and slimmer. And the guys that are coming in now, like, you know, they'll tell their friends like, oh, like I had this girl, she did this for me for X amount of money. So now they're coming in looking for like the same thing. And it's like, well, yeah, you can ask for her. That's cool. But like for me, like now you're just changing again, your clientele from guys who just want to come in, throw money, have fun to guys who are coming in and like, yeah, they're spending more money, I guess. They're spending money that the club can benefit off of. They only want the money. I want my dances and I want my stage money. I'm telling my customers to come in and take out their money and make it rain on my stage set. And they don't like that because they're not profiting off of that.
Exactly.
So what doesn't profit for them, They don't give a fuck. You know, but I am helping you profit because if my customers having fun, they're taking shots, they're buying my friends shots, they're having drinks, they're drinking top shelf. They don't care. They're still making you money, but because they're not giving you $500, $1,000. They're giving me that money because that's what I care about at the end of the day. I care about my pockets. I don't care about the club's pockets because they're not paying my bills. I pay my bills, you know? So it's like this whole huge, messy circle, and we can't ever be like 100% one way or the other on the spectrum because it's such a blurred line in these clubs.
It is. And I feel like that has so much to do with the people who run these clubs. You know, like these men who run these clubs, they're not for women.
No.
They're not for Black women. They're not for Hispanic women. They're not for women of color.
Right.
You know what I mean, they're not worried about our safety. They're selfish. They're sexist. They see us as objects themselves. You know what I mean? Like they would probably pimp you out if they could, just so they can make a little more money off of you. And you see that too. Like they don't care about women. And I think that's why the clubs, like why it's deemed as unsafe. Not necessarily because sex work is necessarily associated with like not being safe. It's just the culture that emits around it is not safe because of the people who are controlling it, because of the people who are operating it, because of the people who are working within it makes it unsafe.
Yeah. And, you know, with my experiences of like traveling between here and like Charlotte and places like that, it's, there are more women out there who are running shit than not. Like, you know, I went up to Onyx up in Charlotte, me and my friend, we went up to Onyx and there was actually a dancer store right next to Onyx, and me and my friend were like, oh, we're just going to go in here and get some clothes. The owner came out and asked us to come in for an audition, whatever. I was like, cool, like we'll come back. But the women, it was a woman auditioning the girls. You know, you come in, they spin you around, they like look at you up and down, and like, it's more comforting when a woman does it. Right? Because they're like, okay, yeah, you can make us some money, like whatever will make you feel good. You got nice this, and this. Like the guys that come in, they like this. Cool, you got the job. Compared to like guys, you get up on stage sometimes, mostly out here. Like I've gotten on stage and they're not even looking at you. You know what I mean? They're not even paying attention to your audition. You're just there. So you're like, okay, you're not even looking at me. So you've already made up your mind. Like, just tell me at the door, no. Just tell me up front, just no. Don't make me come up here, audition. You're not even paying attention to me. And then I went through this whole process and now I feel stupid.
Yeah, and that whole thing pisses me off too, because, you know, you get the opposite, right? Where a girl comes in, she fits their standard of what they like. They're not even looking at how she dances.
No, it doesn't matter. Like, oh, you're hot. I think you're hot. Oh, like, you know, whatever. And also these managers too, like I've heard a lot of the girls be like, oh yeah, like he asked me to go on a date with him. It's like I went on a date with him, or I slept with one of the managers. Like I always have a guaranteed job. And you're like, you know what I mean? You're just like, what? Like, why? How did this go from 0 to 100? Yeah. Like, how? Yeah. You know, and you're just like, you're stressing me out with these stories. And I'm just like, you know, you're here, you're listening. And like, we try to do it. Like I treat this job, you know, and I'm just like you, like I'm you know, I'm on my last leg like anybody, and calling it quits with this whole, because it's just unless I travel to another place, but just in general, like I'm getting to the point where like, I'm just over this whole industry, but like, the longer that I'm here and I'm like listening, I treat this like a job, right? It's my job. I go in, I do my job, I provide my service, I go home. I'm not here for this I'm not trying to get invested in nobody's life. I'm not trying to get invested with these managers. I don't care anything about that. Like I'm here to make my money and go home. So for the girls out here, and I hate it because then I feel like all the new girls who are coming in, they feel like now that's the standard. They feel like that is what they have to do. In reality, like you don't have to do all of this. You don't have to. Like there is just no way. Like I can say like I've made lots and lots of money without having to put myself in sketchy, unsafe situations.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I just want girls to know that anyone who's looking to go into this, like, you don't have to put yourself in this situation. And if you're thinking about starting in Colorado, just realize like it's gonna be hard. There are no clubs out here that are really catering to women of color. There aren't really clubs catering to, like, I can't say go to, I guess Shotgun Willie's, but everybody works that. It's so hard to get into that club because they got like 300-400 dancers contracted there, so like they're not taking anybody new, and the girls who are there, like, they're not leaving anytime soon because they know what they got. They're not going to get in other places. So if you are starting out, it's like COVID, it's already going to make it hard. Number two, like I there's just not many places I can recommend. There's places like Platinum. I don't know if they're open. There's a Mile High Men's Club. In the clubs that are just like extra out here, they're not making any money. Those girls aren't making money. You're only going to make $100-200.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like when I became a dancer, it's because I wanted that financial freedom, right? I wanted to maximize my time, work less, make more money. That was what I was trying to do. And to me, like, stripping was my way to do that. I didn't have any problem with, doing this type of job. I thought it was great. And in a lot of ways it has been great. But in terms of like financial freedom in Colorado as a woman of color, no.
Mm-hmm.
No. It's just, it's so unpredictable. I found that like before COVID, how I made most of my money was from guys who are travelers that were used to being around Black women.
Right. And that's how it was for me too. Even when I was traveling in from North Carolina to dance, it was the same thing. I would come in, guys would be here from out of state. I like everything that you have. Now everything is closed, there's no traveling men. So now we really get to see what the Colorado men are made of. And you're like, this shit is so much trash. And I don't know. It's not for, like you said, it's not for women of color. And they got to do something to change it. But if it works for them, it works for them. But like I said, post-COVID, I mean, the fact that they don't even want specific customers in their club. Like, all the clubs can fucking blacklist me forever. I don't give a shit. But it's true. It's like, you guys don't want to say it, but we know it. We're not that naive. I'm not that dumb. And it, like you said, like, it is, you're thinking financial freedom. We're doing this because we're getting ahead in life. We're getting it because it's fast money. It's a lot of money at one time. I work 3-4 days a week. I'm good. I can focus on what my goals are next, without having to worry about, I have to go to a 9 to 5. How am I supposed to do school? How am I supposed to balance my financial situation? So yeah, if you are a dancer, a woman of color, if you are like sick, if and you're coming to Colorado, I don't recommend it. I don't.
It's like I feel like in strip club cultures, there's all types of discrimination, right? Like, that's just how it is. I feel like that's because it's predominantly ran by men who themselves have biases and unsafe thinkings about women. So I feel like you're going to find these type of nuances in any type of clubs, like, where they don't like you, or they don't like your body, or you're having a rough time with customers or whatever. I just feel like all of that stuff that you get from strip clubs as a dancer, as a sex worker, as a woman, it's like magnified here in Colorado.
It is. And it's just, I think it's just like, we're in the Midwest, we're like in such like a one horse and buggy town that is just, it's terrible. And it is everywhere you go, like you said, you're not going to fit in at every club. Like, I've been turned away from clubs too, whatever, or, I get that. But at the end of the day, like, it's not you. Like, it's not the woman that you are. It's not your appearance. Because, like, in everyday life, the men know that they would never have a chance with you. So it's not you. It's the guys that are on a power trip. And if you remind them of a girl that they had a bad experience with, if you remind them of, whatever, they're going to take it out on you. So I feel like it starts with management, and it starts with these club owners, and they just like, they don't care. Like they don't care about what you have to say. They just want to go at what they want to do. And it's really hurting them. And they'll never be a Miami. They'll never be a New York City. They'll never be an Atlanta as far as like money, because they don't know how to escalate their business and take it to that level, because all they do is categorize, turn away, don't want. They say no more than they say yes.
Yeah.
And like, especially post-COVID, you're like, you need to do whatever you can take to get people back. So you can't tell people no right now. People have been cooped up in their houses, and you need money. You need money. Yeah. And I'm coming out to spend my money. So how are you going to tell me no? Mm-hmm. So I just think like it really starts at the top. And it just works its way down, and they don't know how to do it. They run with girls wearing ball gowns and doing whatever else they want to do in the back with the same fucking customers that they've had. And that's it.
Yeah, it's true. It starts from the top and works way at the bottom. Like, however the club is, it is because of management. Like, and I keep going back to that example of that one place I went to in Hawaii. And that was like the one and only time I traveled as a dancer. And I'm sure, this is probably not, I don't know if it's common or not, but it was more than just like, oh, we want to bring in, these guys and make our money. Like, you generally felt like they cared about the women, because they understood the fact that the women working there is what's bringing in their money. If we weren't there, they would just be a bar.
Yeah, and if you guys want to be a bar, be a bar. If you want to be a bar with girls who just wear lingerie, then do that. But I'm not taking my clothes off. I'm not doing all that. I won't work there. I'm not working at a bar. Mm-hmm. I came to work at like a strip club to make a lot of money. But yeah, a lot of the places in Colorado, they're based off of their liquor sales, and I get it. But if no one's having a good time, who the fuck wants to drink? Who wants to party? Like, who wants to do that? Like, what am I celebrating? If I'm not having fun, I don't want to fucking drink, And yeah, the girls make the clubs, and I don't ever want to put my customers, like if I invite customers to come out and like see me, whatever, and the vibe's not right for them, why the fuck they coming out for?
Yeah.
Why would I spend money? Like, and I've had that happen too. It's like, yeah, like I'm just not like feeling it. Like, I'll still pay you because, I came out here to see you, but like, I'm just going to leave. I don't want to get bottle service. They're not, the way the music's fucking whack. It's Friday night. I don't want to listen to fucking country music. I'm sorry. Or, I requested a song by the DJ, but the DJ says he doesn't have it. Bro, you're on Spotify. Spotify has every fucking song on the face of the planet. Oh, I don't want to play that because it's too, whatever. Even if I tip you, bro, like, no, I just don't have it. Okay, well, the whole experience is just off.
It's the whole uppity behavior for me. I'm like, strip clubs started from Black people, from urban culture. We made this shit what it is. And you don't want no part of it? Well, sir, people, you're going to have to do your own thing then, because like people have an idea of what a strip club should be like. Mm-hmm. And if you're not giving them that experience, if you're not providing diversity, if you're not, like, why would anyone want to stay here? Like, I, as a dancer, don't even want to be here.
Right. And you know what? Like I said, everyone's experience is different. But it's kind of common with like the Black and brown girls in Colorado that I've come to find that they don't feel appreciated, especially girls who come from different states. They come from Atlanta. I met a girl who's from Atlanta, and she went from making X amount of money to like, man, she's like, I have to travel back home because like it's really bad out here, and I don't know how to be. And mind you, like, these are very beautiful women, and the girls who are going in now, like your experience might be completely different, you know, like don't let us deter you away, but this is just like the truths that happen in the clubs. And for as long as we've worked out here and we've been here every day, I guess not every day, but the days that we have worked, you know, we know the clientele, we know the people, and we know it. We know what we're getting ourselves into. So don't let us deter you away, but these are like the solid facts that we have. These are experiences that we have. But, you know, if you feel like you want to go try it out, just be prepared. As a Black and brown woman, be prepared. If you're curvy, if you're thick, if you have too many tattoos. But then again, like if you fit the standard of like the petite white woman, you'll get a guaranteed job, no problem. You'll make really good money. But for my Black and brown girls, Asian girls, Latina girls, older women, whatever, it won't happen for you.
Yeah, you gotta go to the big cities like Miami or whatever, to where, you know, diversity is a norm. Or I don't even know, but it could be, you know, diversity is a norm in these places, or that, you know, there's a culture around women of color, like people want to come see women of color in the area. And I wanted to ask you too, because, you know, you worked, you know, more in that area in the South. Do you feel like you experienced less discrimination there, like across the board, from management to clientele, Black or white, other dancers, how they talk to you, like the whole thing? Do you feel like you experienced less discrimination there?
That's like a good question. I honestly, so like when I started down south, like I said, I worked at this club, Capital Cabaret. So like shout outs to them because they did it right. Now, everything across the board was like a good experience. Here's like what I like about the guys down there. It wasn't discrimination as much as it was like, if they don't like you, they don't like you. Like, they're just like, you're not my type. But they weren't rude about it. They weren't like, no, but like, you just kind of knew. You could like look at a customer and read what they want. I felt like from management down, I felt like I was treated well. I felt like they didn't have any expectations from me, from the bouncers to the club owners. So the club owners would come in like on the weekend. And what I respected about them, because it was like a white guy named Pooches and like a Asian guy named Fong, and his girlfriend is actually like a good friend of mine now. And if the club, they would bring in guys that would spend money. Like their friends, like if they brought their friends in on the weekends, their friends would spend money. Like and if they weren't spending money, they would make sure they would call them out. Like, bro, you're not about to call my girls up here and you're not spending any money on them. You need to give them money for sitting here and talking to you. Like you need to give them money, right? Or they would start the night off by making it rain. Like they would spend money on their girls. And they had theme nights and they were always looking out. And like, yeah, they had their standards of, okay, you got to wear like a little cocktail dress or whatever. You know, the music was good. They catered the music to the dancer. They said, okay, put in your playlist with the DJ. They just wouldn't play anything super hardcore, like no hardcore metal, no like hardcore, just like fucking trap music. That was like their only stipulations. The girls that worked there, it was like I couldn't have asked for a better experience to start working in a club. Honestly, they did it right. And, you know, I feel like they brought in a great mix of clientele, a great just like balance. So like everybody was eating, like everybody was getting money. Everybody was satisfied. And the bouncers, I felt safe, right? I could, let's say, you know, if I did do a champagne room with guys, I'd run upstairs real quick and tell the bouncer, like, watch this guy, like come back there as much as possible because he's drunk and he's a little touchy-feely, like watch it. And they would fucking look out for you like nobody's business, you know? And they, you know, if the guys weren't spending money, if they were getting mouthy, if they were like trying to start fights. I've seen guys get thrown into glass doors before because the bouncer was like, get the fuck out the club. And like, this is like a nice gentleman's club, you know? Like, but everybody was welcome. Everybody come in, spend your money, and they have food. It was just a good time. So, you know, my experience, and even with like the dancers, They had everything. They had girls who were bald with fucking ear gauges and tattoos. They had thick girls. They had white girls. They had black girls, Hispanic. They had everything, So it was just, in their club, they did it right. Every hour they brought all the dancers out so they could walk across the stage and see who's working. And they just really catered to the people. And I had some of the best regulars, and they still are people like I talk to, and stay in touch with because they had such a good experience, So I always recommend, I don't know what it's like right now, post-COVID. I don't know what much of anything is like right now with post-COVID, but like I said, for me personally, I couldn't have asked for a better introduction into this kind of work.
Yeah. And I think that was cool when you said like you felt safe in that club too, because like I think that was like one of the assumptions I had about it being kind of like a white centric state, it's the burbs, it's expensive to live out here, yada yada. I'm like, yeah, of course it's gonna be safe. Like,
right.
But I feel like clubs out here are not safe at all. At Diamonds, like they'll walk you to your car, but when you're in the club, these bouncers do not give a shit.
No, they don't. They don't. If you don't tip them, they don't care. But I'm tipping you to take care of me, but you ain't taking care of me. There's a couple of bouncers I will say that, because if you tell them you have a problem, they look at you like you're fucking crazy. You tell them like this dude is doing X, X, and X, they look at you like you're crazy. Right? Like, what do you want me to do about it? You're supposed to do your fucking job, or are you just over here being big as fuck for no reason?
Exactly. And it's like they're supposed to be keeping an eye out for guys who tend to be doing the most, right? Like guys who are touching you on stage or being inappropriate, or you obviously look uncomfortable. And like all these clubs actually that I worked at out here, like there's countless times where I was, doing a dance and I had to, correct the guy myself because no one was there to do it for me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There was times where I walked out of the dance because I gave the guy a warning. He did it again. I walked out. The bouncer was like, "What happened? Oh, you weren't watching the cameras? You weren't walking back? You didn't see what happened? Cool."
Yeah. And, it goes back to them thinking that every girl lets them get away with what they let them get away with. They think every girl is okay with a guy grabbing pussy. They think every girl's okay with like all this stuff. So no, it's not. And I've had that too. I had a situation with a dancer where this guy was fucking drunk, and one of the dancers was on stage and she was on the backstage, and he started throwing coins at her because she for whatever reason, he started throwing coins at her. So she got mad. And then she said something to him. She's like, "Well, get off my stage. Like, stop. Like, you're being a fucking dick." He waits for her to get off stage to try and get into a fight with this girl, like try to actually put hands on her. So I had to get into, homeboy was only like 5'3", so I can already see what his issue was. He just mad because he's small. But I had to get into them. I'm like, okay, so when I put my heels on, I'm like 6'4", right? I wear 8 inches. I'm like 6'4" when I put heels on. So I had to come step in between them. No bouncer was to be found. And they still let this dude stay here. And that wasn't his only altercation with us that night, with my friend that night. But he went to like another girl's stage set and he was like trying to do too much. And she was like, you need to get the fuck out of here. And they let this man linger for the whole entire night. And I'm like, This dude is doing nothing. He's throwing quarters at girls. He's throwing, whatever. He's touching girls on stage. He's not spending money. You're not serving him alcohol anymore. What is his purpose in being here?
Yep.
You're waiting for him to pull out a fucking strap? Like, what is it? And it wasn't like he was, fucking little white man. He was a little white man. And I'm like, dude, you're just going to let him fucking get away with all that? So now I have to sit up here and have to protect myself and my friends. And another one of my friends got thrown across, she was like, this guy was a cool champagne room. All of a sudden he gets up and body slams me into the coat rack. So now I got a big dent in my back. And I'm like, where are these bouncers? Like, what are you guys doing? Walking around doing what? You waiting for someone to pull out a knife, a gun? You're waiting for one of us to get punched, choked out? Like, what are you waiting for to do action? Why do I have to keep reiterating myself? Mm-hmm. I don't feel like you said, I don't feel safe. Yeah, you walk me to my car, but that doesn't matter. I'm even lucky enough that I walked out the fucking club.
Right. That's what I feel like. I'm like, yeah, you know, I feel like all the horror stories around like being a stripper is like, oh, some guy's going to stab you when you're walking to your car or follow you home and kidnap you. And I'm not joking about that. Like that type of stuff does happen. But I feel like my experience as a dancer where I felt unsafe happened in the club because of those reasons, because the bouncers aren't doing their job, because the management doesn't care. But it's like, it's almost like fucking crazy. I feel like with that type of thing, like a guy is coming in, harassing all the dancers, not spending any money. He's just in the club, just there for what? Like, why do you have this person that's causing harm, not spending any money for what? Like, are you literally fucking mental? Like, why is he here?
Yeah. And it's like,
you know, like stuff like that blows my mind.
It does. It is crazy. It is. I don't understand it and I never have. So like, you know, and it goes back to like the tip out. Okay, well, I could tip you out, but you guys didn't do anything for me. You ain't do shit for me. Also too, like you don't clean up. Okay, let's say you have a customer who comes in and throws a whole bunch of money on your stage set. They don't pick up the money off the stage set. Okay, well now I'm here for fucking whatever. I'm not trying to sound like I'm uppity, but like, that's just like one of the things, like, bouncers are supposed to help you pick up your money, clean it up. Like, you know, you're supposed to cater to your girls. You're supposed to cater to these entertainers. We're the ones making this money. And if you want to get any of this money, then you're going to have to help me get this money. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're going to have to create this environment.
Almost like all the men in the clubs that work there, they feel like the customers are there for them. Like, that's how they operate. Like, what they do, that's what it seems like. Like, do you guys not remember that the men coming here to see us, they're here for us, not for you?
Yeah.
Like, you provide the environment, but they're here for us. So they should be catering to us. I feel like that's hard for them to even connect to us like that way, for them to connect to us that way and make those realizations. I feel like I can't speak for other clubs. I feel like it might be common that this happens in clubs where the management is not thinking about the well-being of the dancers because they're men.
Yeah. And it's ridiculous. It's unsafe. You're putting girls at risk. You're playing like that card of like, well, fuck her because she don't do anything for me. But it goes back to, well, you don't do anything for me. So why should I have to do something for you? You know, like, why should I have to come out of my pocket when I just put in all this work? You know, and I've got a customer, he loves me, he's spending money, we're doing the whole thing. And now you feel obligated that you deserve the money for doing nothing, walking around with your hands in your pocket, sitting at the bar, talking to other people, nowhere to be found when shit is going down for anyone. You know, like, what is your purpose? Like I said, God forbid if you ask them, because then they get all huffy and puffy about it. You're like, okay, well, cool. So what I do now, or what I started to do, you know, was, you know, I have my people like, okay, I know that one person's going to look out for me. So when they're working for me, working with the same time I'm working, I'll look out for them. Look out for the DJ, whatever. But for everybody else, it's like, you're not going to get a piece of the cake because you ain't doing shit. You're literally not doing a damn thing. You're getting paid. Number one, you're getting paid hourly to do nothing. Number two, you're expecting us girls to tip you out. Like I said, when I worked in North Carolina, everybody's eating because I ate. If I ate good, everyone's eating. And that's how it should be, because I felt safe. You're working, you have my back. You always came up and asked me like, oh, are you good? Or like, I came to the back because, oh, he was being a little too touchy-feely with you. I was watching, like that. Like I set those standards with them, but that should just be the standard in general, you know? So it's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. Women out here getting robbed, set up, kidnapped. Like you said, it's a real thing. Like, it's not a joke, and people think that it is, you know. Girls out here getting their money stolen because they, you know, let's say a customer saw you make a whole bunch of money on stage. Now you got a trash bag full of money, and you know, you take your trash bag full of money home with you because you're like, I'm just gonna count my shit when I get home. I don't want to stay here for like another hour counting money. You go home, right? And there's somebody in the parking lot waiting for you. Just waiting for you. They saw you in front of your, you know, they know what kind of car you drive. Now they see you. And like, okay, now I'm fucking at gunpoint getting fucking robbed for my money. Where are you at?
Yeah.
So
yeah, these these things that can happen, to you as a dancer or as a sex worker in general are very real. But I feel like those situations are kind of minimized if there's a standard that's set in the club. And I think I keep reiterating, like, because discrimination is very real in the club. But I feel like the biggest discrimination that plays into all of this is sexism. You know what I mean? Because I feel like women are treated as objects because of what we do, and men not only try to harm us because of that, but then it plays on the other side that the man that's supposed to be doing their jobs and protecting the women there from these type of situations that can happen, there's not a validity in that. There's not a seriousness in those possibilities. Like I don't know. I feel like they don't understand those safety concerns. Like it doesn't bother them.
Yeah.
They feel like because we're putting ourselves in the situation as a sex worker that we're signing ourselves off for things to happen. And, anytime we have concerns or we bring up, whatever, or something happens to us on stage, they're just like, yeah, that's what happens to strippers. That's how it's normal.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, oh, well, you're a stripper, like poor you. And it's like, no, smart me for being one. Okay. And like you said, sexism is a real thing. And the guys go back to a power trip. It is. And like, if you don't stroke their ego or make them feel good, particularly in this, because it's a lot of toxic male activity going on with these owners and these management and these bouncers who, like, they're not here to like protect. They're just here in it for themselves. They're just here because they want to they want to make their money, whatever. And it's like, no, bro, like, it's just not that easy. And you really got to do a job. Like, you have to protect us. And sexism is a real thing in the club. And I feel like all these toxic men are coming out and exploiting us as dancers and women. And it's not like that everywhere. And like I keep reiterating myself, like, everyone's experience is different and always will be different. And especially post-COVID, things are going to be so much more odd, weird, strict. It's wild. It is wild out here. So I would like to try and end with like a positive note with all that being said, because I feel like we just dumped a lot out for people and listeners. And it's nothing, we try to do nothing but like the truth. I try to speak the truth as much as possible, and really talk about both sides, because there's two sides to every coin. There is a really beautiful, great, women's empowerment side to doing sex work and dancing. And then there's also like this other heavy side that comes with it. And if you're not well prepared for both sides of it, then you could definitely get in, fall into a loophole and be like, well, fuck, I didn't expect this.
Right. And it's unfortunate because it doesn't have to be that way. But, society, we're not there yet. We're not there in how we treat women and in normal, acceptable positions in the work field. And we're especially not treating women how they should be treated in these type of environments and sex work environments. So both sides are very real. You have the part where you're making great money and you're, creating more opportunities for yourself, and that's very empowering. Or you're just you're opening yourself up to your own sexuality, which is, it's life-changing doing that too. But then, you have the very real, tangible safety concerns of being a dancer that, everyone needs to think about. And it's unfortunate that that's even a thing, in sex work, but it is, because it's just how it is in society right now.
Yes. And not everything is bubblegum and cotton candy, but when shit is good, shit is real good. That's like the one thing that happens with this industry is like, when things are good in this industry, in this specific area, wherever you're at, it's really good. I mean, the amounts of money that you can make are really good, but you always have to keep in mind all of this plays into what we have to deal with every day, which is also one of those things. So if you go in as a customer, as a male customer, you need to show love to women. And I'm not saying like you just have to go show love to like Black women or brown, whatever, like you just need to make sure that when you are going to the strip club, that you are being respectful, even if we're not your type, because you're allowed to have a type when you go into the club. If I'm not your type, at least still be respectful towards me. Still treat me like a human, still treat me like a woman. Don't degrade me and make me feel like I'm just not worth anything. You know, don't go to the point where you can't even make eye contact with me because you're that much uncomfortable around me. You need to make us feel like we're women and we're out here working. And you do need to show love. Like if you're attracted to a Black or brown woman, don't just tell them that. You need to show them that. You need to spend your money. You need to tell them, you need to show them, you know, because I'm sorry, bills don't pay my compliments. I'm already out here feeling some type of way, especially being in a club out here in the Midwest. So you need to share the wealth with us out here too, because we are out here working harder. And I will say that with no remorse. We are out here working way harder than your average just white girl who is out here. And that's just pure facts.
That's on period. And I think, you know, that's my message too, to guys who come in, like, have respect. Like they're, you know, we're at work. Mm-hmm. We're working. Okay. This is a job to us. Like, don't waste a girl's time. If you don't like her, say, hey, thank you for talking to me, but I'm not interested. Like, we're big girls, you know, like, and toys for you to play with. We're not items of your fetishes. We're people.
Yeah, we're people, and we know what we're doing. We know what kind of work we're doing. So respect that and respect our time. Respect us as humans. Just everybody, that's all around. And you need to know what we're dealing with every single day. So please, all of y'all, if y'all coming in, please come in, have a good time, spend your money. If you don't like us, okay, get the fuck on, but be nice about it. Because if not, I'm sorry, but apparently I'm a bouncer now, so we're going to be bouncing your asses up out the club. Well, Adaya, it is always so much fun to talk to you.
Thank you. I love how you're doing these talks, you know, like providing some insight to the sex work industry. I feel like we definitely need more of this so people understand, you know, what it seems like common sense, that we're humans, that we have our own experiences, and they're all valid.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, it's one of those things that I feel like really needs to be talked about just in general, whether it is sex work or any other type of like work as like a female. Like we are out here and we provide and do the most, but we receive the least.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I really just want to shine light on all that. But thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure. We'll have to have you back again, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, well, until next time, you guys can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, all under hustlebunny_pod. And until next time, stay hustling, my little bunnies.